to just say thank you all. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you joining in from across the Asia Pacific. My name is Devika and I head the arts work for South Asia. I'm joined by my fantastic colleague Khadija, who is supporting us with this call and ensuring that everything runs smoothly. Khadija will also be moderating the chat box and sending in a few links as and when, as we move through the presentation, just in case you need to access any documents or information on the web pages. I'm also joined by my wonderful colleague Ni Jing, who's the head of arts programs based in China, and she will be supporting me with moderating the Q&A post the presentation. My colleague Anna is also joining in from Australia, albeit with not so good internet, but Anna will be supporting with answering any questions that are specific to Australia in the chat box and supporting with moderating the chat box as well. I'm also joined by the rest of my colleagues and arts leads from across the Asia Pacific. And last but not the least, thank you all for your time and for making time to join this information session today. Before we get on, a couple of housekeeping rules. This session will last for around 1 hour. There will be a presentation for around 30 minutes, and the rest of the time will be for an open question and answers. The session will be recorded and shared on the British Council YouTube channels after the session. Please mute yourself when you're not speaking to the group, or somebody will switch off your mic if you forget to do so. During the presentation, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box and we will address it during the Q&A. During the Q&A and the open discussion, if you have any questions, please use the raise hand function on the top right of your screen and allow us to call on you to unmute yourself before asking your question. This session will be recorded, and if you do not wish to be recorded, please switch off your video and keep your microphone on mute. If you are interested in applying for this grant, you must have a good level of English or have support from someone with a good level of English as a translator or an interpreter when needed to ensure smooth communication. Please note that your application will not be assessed on the quality or the grammatical quality of your English. However, it will be assessed on your idea. However, a basic level of English is required while filling in the application. If that's clear, we can move on to the rest of the presentation. What is Connections Through Culture? It is essentially a grants program which is run by the British Council across the UK and the Asia Pacific countries. This program aims to develop exciting cultural exchanges and collaborations between artists, arts professionals, and arts organizations, and to support long-lasting relationships between people from the Asia Pacific and the UK. The 2024 Open Call is accommodating applications from the UK and the listed Asia Pacific countries, which are Australia, Bangladesh, China, Indonesia, Malaysia, Myanmar, New Zealand, Philippines, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Vietnam. Please note that the deadline for applications is the 2nd of September 2024. We are expecting projects to start between December 2024 and run up until October 2025. The funds for the selected projects will be transferred by January 2025. Aside from being part of the listed Asia Pacific countries or the UK, each project will also have a lead applicant as well as a counterpart partner. The lead partner will be the partner whose name will be on the grant agreement, who will manage the budget and the timeline of the entire project and will report into the British Council as per our reporting standards. The counterpart partner is the name of the partner from the other region who will support in managing the grant on behalf of the entire team. You are welcome to have more than one counterpart partner. However, the lead partner will be responsible for all the reporting into the British Council. As you will see, we're offering grants in Australia and New Zealand up to 5,000 British pounds, and the rest of the Asia Pacific, the grants being awarded are up to 10,000 pounds. The grants can be used for an array of project delivery. It could be used for digital projects, face-to-face output, or a hybrid blend of both. We're looking for different kinds of approaches. For example, residencies, festivals, exhibitions, showcases, workshops, conferences, roundtable discussions. You could also explore research and development for future project and ideas, publications, or creative use of archives. If your idea is not covered in this list, please do get in touch with us through the inquiry form and we can have a discussion with you and let you know if it's eligible or not. In addition to in addition to different kinds of art forms in which we'll be accepting applications, the grant will also support new projects with artistic expression or creativity at the core, and will result in collaborative activities, including artistic and creative exchange of either skills, knowledge, and practice, or the co-production towards new artistic and creative content. While we accept applications covering all art forms and outcomes, applications that respond to the following priority themes will be prioritized during the final decision-making process, which are around diversity and inclusion and climate change. Some of the eligibility conditions are that a complete application, including the project budget, partner agreement letters, and the CV of a project leader, should be received by the 2nd of September via the submittable application site. Please note that we will only be accepting applications via the submittable external platform and not in a Word or PDF document. Each application must comprise of at least one UK partner and one Asia-Pacific partner from the eligible Asia-Pacific countries. Organizations should be registered in the UK or in any of the other eligible Asia-Pacific countries. Project proposals should have a timeline ending no later than the 31st of October 2025. The proposed projects must be projects for the arts, cultural, or creative sector within any of the following art forms. We're looking at projects covering architecture, design, and fashion, including craft, creative technology, mixed, augmented, and virtual reality, film, literature, music, theater and dance, and visual arts. We also welcome proposals for cross-art form projects. So your projects can touch upon various 2 or 3 art forms in one project itself. We're looking for projects with themes relevant to the creative economy in addition to diversity and inclusion and climate change. We're also open to accepting cross-disciplinary arts projects, where arts meets science, arts meets technology. Funding bodies are not eligible to apply. The selection criteria that will be taken into consideration by the British Council assessment panel will be around quality of the project. The first selection criteria will be around what is the artistic value or the creative quality of the project. Is it innovative in its approach, and does it show consideration on how the project might continue after the year of delivery? We're looking for projects that are mutually and equitably benefiting both UK and Asia-Pacific applicants. We're also looking for projects which are well-planned and resourced and demonstrate the equitable use of the budget between the UK and Asia-Pacific applications. We're also looking for projects that address diversity, equality, and inclusion, and environmental sustainability. With respect to the grant timeline, the application portal will close on the 2nd of September 2024, before which all of your applications need to be submitted on Submittable. Your applications will be evaluated by the British Council Assessment Panel between September and October 2024. The announcement and confirmation of acceptance for the grantees will be done via email by the 31st of October 2024, and then your projects can start after that. Successful applications will sign a British Council grant agreement, and the payment will be made 30 days following receipt of each invoice. There may be specific payment conditions per country, and we're happy to discuss those on a case-by-case basis. The British Council will have orientation sessions for grantees covering all requirements for the grant project delivery in January 2025. You will be provided with the necessary templates and documents that are required for submitting in your budget information as well as your project activity information. While you deliver your grants from between December to October 2025, the British Council staff will be in constant communication with you for any support and updates that you may require. We're expecting all grant activity and all projects to be completed by the 31st of October. You will then have 1 month from the date of completion of the project to complete the report and submit it in to the British Council. We encourage you to thoroughly go through the web page. Do have a look at all of the tools that are mentioned on the web page for your support and your help. Read through the application toolkit and frequently asked questions. Speak to potential partners. Form your collaborative project idea. And plan time to complete the submittable application form in English. As a rule of thumb, always read through the guidance very quickly. And if in doubt about anything, do go back to the guidance as well as get in touch with us via the inquiry form, and we will aim to respond to you within 2 working days. Applying to the Submittable portal, please note that Submittable is the external website for all the applications for the Connections Through Culture grants. The link is on the application toolkit, and my colleague Khadija at some point will also put it in the chat box. The link can also be found on the British Council CTC web pages of all of the eligible countries. What you will need to do is you will need to create a free Submittable account using your registered email address. You can't view the application form until you've had a Submittable account, so it might be advisable to keep an offline copy of your answers in case of any unexpected technical issues. You will see on the web page, we've also attached a sample PDF version of the application form. So you may download that and have a look at that and keep your answers ready offline. However, the final answers and the final submission will have to be made via Submittable. If you have any questions or concerns in creating a Submittable account, please note that the Submittable web page or the web platform has a contact and support email. So if you have any issues, technical issues with the form, please get in touch with the Submittable portal and they will help you out. If you have any questions or inquiries regarding the application form in itself, please reach out to us via the inquiry form link that is mentioned in this presentation. At different points during the grant delivery as well as during the application process, we will require you to agree that we keep and share your information for the purpose of the grant application and if you're selected for the whole duration of your project delivery. What you will need to prepare. Almost all questions for new applicants and previous grantees are the same. Yours and your partner's contact details will be required. We will also require CVs of project leaders, portfolio links, letters of agreement from all the partners who have agreed to work with you will be required. Please prepare all of this information well in advance, well before you make your final submission. The Submittable platform also lets you save your application draft as you go along. Please make sure that all the details are correct, and once you press the submit button, further editing will not be permitted. The Submittable application form has collaboration enabled, so you will be able to invite your project partner to collaborate on the application. The link is visible on the top right-hand corner named Invite Collaborators, and you can complete the application form together with your partners. Please note that the application must be made in English. You may use interpretation or translation services outside of the application process and outside of Submittable. However, the final application must be made in English. What you will need to prepare, you will need to be very clear in terms of describing your project activity, what you are going to do, how you're going to do it, and why you're doing it. when and with whom you will be delivering the activities, who are your partners, do you have partner agreement letters signed, what is innovative and unique in your proposal, what are the short-term and long-term impacts your project is trying to achieve, what is your project plan and timeline, what is your project budget, is it realistic, and is it value for money? Do think about the collaborative partnerships that you will be engaging in. What are your values of working and how are they aligned with your partners? Do you think you can both work regularly and equitably during the project timeline? If you are selected as a project team as the lead partner, our British Council staff in your Asia Pacific country will be your first point of contact for support or risks and issues with your delivery, timeline, budget, partner, and other stakeholders. So you need to ensure clear communication at all levels. What is the intended target reach of your project? Who are your target audiences of your offline and online activity? Do you intend to have any online and offline audiences or participants aside from your project team? How many audiences or participants do you expect per online and offline activity? And which online platforms would they take place in? All of these details are very essential for our assessment criteria as well. Please note that not all grant projects will have public audiences or participants, and we understand that. The way you communicate your project depends on your objectives and your individual goals. We'd also encourage all applicants to think about access support. We ask all applicants to embed audience accessibility into their projects, explain what your project will do to address this. And does this include any accessibility costs which need to be incorporated within the budget proposal and give a reasonable justification for the same? If applicants have any accessibility requirements for the delivery of their proposed projects, and you have any additional costs that are required, they can be discussed with your British Council teams. Please note that we're not able to provide support for all issues, for all access issues. However, we can provide support on a case-by-case basis. There are British Council policies and requirements should you propose activities which involve children or vulnerable adults, equality, diversity and inclusion, environmental sustainability, and please refer to the details in the application toolkit and frequently asked questions to address these concerns. All applications must be submitted through the submittable portal as mentioned earlier on the 2nd of September by 23:59 GMT, not British Standard Time. We're looking at GMT. Any inquiries about the application process through the next 2 months can be sent to the inquiry form link that is mentioned here, and we will try and respond to your queries within 2 working days. For any technical support with the submittable platform, please refer to the help page of submittable and click the email support for technical help if you cannot find any existing answer to your questions. If you're unable to hear from the submittable team, do reach out to us letting us know the same. Here are some of the examples of CTC projects that we have funded in the past. These are examples of partners that have been working locally in Asia Pacific along with UK partners, and they've co-designed and co-developed projects, co-developed ideas, and they could either be at the research stage or they could be at the mid-level stage. The Safe Space is another project which is based in Myanmar. And this was a project which resulted in a large-scale exhibition in Rangoon, attended by about 200 people. There were networking sessions, creative residencies, a collaborative virtual community table was set up with Art Refuge, a UK-based charity working with refugees, which included drawing exercises and an exchange about a unique approach to working with trauma using art and community. So these are the kind of projects with the kind of impact and legacy that we'll essentially be looking at. Another example of a project, please note that we are not just looking at big, large-scale responses to the themes of diversity and inclusion and climate change, but we're also looking at new projects, unique and innovative ideas that could be at their starting or their research stages, and that you will need support to progress or to take forward to. This is another example of a publication as a result of a UK collaboration with the Philippines.
Hi, Devika. Just to jump in, I think some people are having issues viewing the slides. Do you think maybe you could try resharing them again through a different screen? Thank you.
Okay, let me just give me 1 minute. Is this better now? Is this clear?
Maybe if everyone can see the slides, can you give us a thumbs up reaction just to double check you can see?
Brilliant.
Okay, great.
Brilliant. This is another example of a Bangkok and London collaboration where projects were co-designed and co-developed, and an exhibition was an outcome. And we had some fantastic reach from this via visitors who were attending the photographic exhibitions. We reached out to a lot of young people, a lot of first-time visitors to the flower markets, and it was also a project which got a lot of visibility in both countries. With that, I think if we could just move on to questions. And if you have any questions, I think my colleagues Nijing and Anna have been looking at the chat box, but if there's anything that you'd like to come in and say, we're happy to call on to you. Okay, there's a couple of raised hands. Sophia, would you like to come in?
Hi, thank you so much. I just had a question about legal advice, and this is just in the very rare chance, hopefully, that anything goes wrong. But I'm based in the UK. I'm looking with partnering in Vietnam, and I'm just worried in case we have a contract and either side of us doesn't hold up our end of the bargain. Is there anything that we could do to support with those international like legally binding contracts just to ensure that the projects run smoothly?
Yeah, so there will be a contract that you will sign, that you will be required to sign with the British Council, and there will be a partner agreement letter, the template of which is on the web page. So the partnership that you will have, sorry, can you hear me, Sophia? I think we lost her. Yeah, I think we lost Sophia, but just to respond to this, there will be a requirement that for the partners themselves to have contracts that are signed between them, which will be legally binding contracts, which will ensure smooth delivery of your projects. And we will also require you to sign partner agreement letters, which need to be submitted at the time of the application as well. So there will be sort of legally binding documents that you will need to sign amongst yourselves as the project moves on and goes on. I'm just going to go to
The next person with their hands up is Sumit Gopura.
Yeah, Sumit, would you like to come in?
Yeah, hi. Thank you. I'm from Sri Lanka, Sumit Gopura. I have three questions actually. One is, I don't know whether this, I have missed this on the chat presentation. Do you have a specific format for the application? That is one. And the other one is, how many grants available? Like, do you have only one particular grant on this, or there are a couple of funding available for this couple of projects around this? The other one is, where should the leadership come from? Leading applicant come from the UK or Asia Pacific?
So to answer your first question around the format for applications, the applications will be needed to submit via the external platform submittable, the link for which is on the web page. So it's an online portal where you'll see the question and an answer box, and you need to submit the answers in the answer box. Just to be sure, we have also added the PDF version of the application form on the website, which you can download and keep your answers saved offline. So you can just copy paste them into the final portal on submittable. So that's the format in which we'll be accepting applications. We won't be accepting any applications on email, only on submittable. And to answer your next question around the lead applicant being in which country, there's no restriction on in which country. The lead partner can either be in Sri Lanka or can be in the UK. However you wish to design that partnership and however you wish to work with your partners, we're comfortable with that, but there's no restriction as such as to from which country they should be, as long as they are within the listed Asia Pacific countries or the UK.
Yeah, thank you. And the other one was about the availability of grants.
Yes, so we are looking at, Sri Lanka, we're looking at supporting up to 3 or 4 projects in the country. However, it depends on the quality of applications that we get as well. So yeah, it just depends. I mean, if we get more projects that are really good quality, for example, we could support more. It just depends on how we receive the applications.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next person is Sepide.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you very much for all the information. I'm based in the UK and my project is actually with Sri Lanka in collaboration. I have 2 questions to ask you. One is with regards to the grant. You mentioned, for example, for Sri Lanka is up to 10,000. And I just wondered, for every individual who apply for the grant, what is the maximum amount they can kind of apply for? Is there limitation per person if 10,000 for every project, or is in total?
10,000 for every project.
Okay. And the second question is that, are these projects only for non-for-profit projects, or can they be supporting a startup business that eventually is planning to be self-sustained and make profit and use that profit in different ways?
So my understanding is that these projects are for not-for-profit. We will not be able to support projects that will be generating income. However, Neejing, please correct me if I'm wrong, we're largely supporting projects and we're not expecting the projects to generate income as part of the year of delivery. However, if the projects go on later on to evolve into a business idea, I think that's okay. But in the year of the British Council delivery, I don't think that we're allowed to look at this. But Neejing, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, and also I think just to add a point to the first question. So for each project, you can apply for the value up to 10K in total, but and also you can put forward more than one application. But if you are successful, only one grant can be awarded. So that's just one point to add to the first question. On the second question, yeah, I agree very much with the Vika. So if because the project duration is not very long, it's basically 10 months. And if after 10 months, the outputs or any deliverables from the project can generate business benefit in future, that should be acceptable.
Okay, so could this grant be used to establish a business that eventually is generating income and it's good for the public and supporting the communities?
Yeah, if the long-term objective in future can generate a business benefit, then it should be fine. But by the end of your project proposal, by the time, say, if your project is by end of October, then there should be deliverables and outputs by that time, and you need to demonstrate the quality and the value and also impact and reach of the project against the published criteria, so the evaluation criteria. So every proposal will be evaluated based on those criteria. You need to demonstrate evidence as strong as possible in your proposal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nijing. Shanta Siri.
Question is about the partners again. If is it possible to connect another organization or an individual? Because I have applied individually. I just want to know about that. And also I heard about that should be registered in UK. Can you clarify me, please?
So your partner can either be an individual or it can be an organization or a collective. There's no restriction on who you work with. However, who you work with will have to be based in the UK because the core principle of the Connections Through Culture grant is the collaboration between the UK and Asia Pacific countries. So you could collaborate with an individual or an organization based in the UK.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sophia, I think we lost you.
We did. Can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Yes.
Okay, fingers crossed that it holds. Thank you so much. I just had a question around the legal implications. So I'm based in the UK. I'm working with a partner based in Vietnam, and we are dealing with a very difficult and sensitive subject matter. And that might have implications in the Vietnamese government side of things, etc. And I am slightly concerned and want to just have a backbone just in case anything would affect the deliverables of the project. I know nothing about international law, particularly with UK Vietnam. So is that something the British Council can support on?
So, I mean,
yeah, sorry, you go ahead.
No, go for it. Come in.
Yeah. No, I think it's quite specific to Vietnam situation, especially the legal framework of your question, right? So I would suggest that you approach us at the inquiry form, and then we can forward it to our Vietnam team who might be able to give you a more accurate answer on that.
Great, thank you. In general, though, is there ever legal support that the British Council provides?
No, so you will receive support in the sense that we will safeguard your partnership via a grant contract that we build with you with the lead partner essentially, and then it's the lead partner's responsibility to contract all the subsequent counterpart partners that they will be working with. However, we will not be able to provide. We can provide support from an advisory lens, or just kind of support you by letting you know some of the ways in which things have happened before. However, we're not in a position to offer legal support if a partnership breaks down.
Got it. Thank you so much, both of you.
Should we go to Rohan? Rohan, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yes,
Sorry,
yes,
Rohan.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. We
Yes,
can
I
hear
just
you now.
opened my Mac. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm Rohan from Winter School of Art, University of Southampton. So because currently we are building a student visiting program working on a virtual reality between our university and the China Communication University. And because I know the selling of this program is 10K. And we're also applying for our internal funding inside the university. So like we have the 15K from the university and also 5K from the faculty. So do I need to specify in my application of the budget part for British Council about, okay, this one will funded by British Council and that part will be funded by, the scheme inside university. Should I do it? Or I just say I made a whole budget and just tell you this one won't be applied from this scheme, but from the other scheme. Or I just have a clear version purely for the British Council.
It would be good to have the whole picture and what other organizations and universities are funding and what part would you like the British Council to fund. So it would be clear to have the whole picture.
Okay, and another one is, do we need to create the case from the work trip?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
The work trip. So like when we build up a budget, currently we need to build up a work trip from university side. But do we need to build a similar thing on this project, or it can be purely finished on the submission portal?
Do you want to take that, Nijing?
Sorry, I'm not sure I fully understand the question yet. So can I clarify? So you have some work trips by the students to your university?
No, the work trip is a system we build up the budget. So when we apply the fundings, normally we have the work trip to show all this budget, to like the monies, like who is leading it. So we need to build up the business case in the work trip. So do we need to build up this business case in applying this funding for,
Do you mean like a scoping visit, like a visit that you would do before the project starts?
It's quite similar, because I don't know whether we have anyone from university side to do this similar application. Because for us, if we apply for UKRI or apply for any of the UK Innovate, we need to build up the work trip first, and then we can finish the application.
So as long so you won't get the funds for the work trip. You'll get the funds only if the project has been selected later on.
Yes.
Yeah, so you won't get any funds before or at the time of application or for any scoping visits. However, later on, if you would like to demonstrate that the scoping visit or the work trip was instrumental in building a certain impact plan or a certain legacy for your project, then it can be considered. However, it depends on how you evidence that in your application.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great. Can we move on to Amara?
Yes, hello. I hope you can hear me. Yes, okay, great. So I'm an Australian artist, and I'm working with some artists based in Sri Lanka. And I just want to clarify that to be eligible for this grant, we also need to have a UK partner. That it can't just be an Australia-Sri Lanka collaboration. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes. And with the UK partner, is it okay if they are a university?
That's fine.
Okay, thanks.
Should we move on to Alice? Alice Sharp.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, I'm involved with an international collaborations grant, and as you know, that process is taking far longer than they had thought. So the results are in September. and I'm working with a partner in Sabah, part of Malaysia, and I wondered if we apply for some element of that grant, presumably that will get knocked out because you can't apply for two British Council grants for the same thing. But I wondered if we had another element, like another kind of workshop where we were working together on kind of creative ideas between artists and scientists, would that be eligible for this grant?
Nijing, would you like to take that?
So it will be something separate to the ICG project you are applying, right? If
Yes,
that's the case, you can put forward the proposal to CT to our connections through culture. Yeah.
Yeah, and hello to Khadija. Thank you. That's great.
Thank you. Should we move on to Rupert?
Yeah, hi, thank you. Just a couple of quick questions. So there can be more than one partner outside of the UK. So, okay, thank you. And is the medium of collaborative live performance as the sort of final delivery, is that regarded as being substantial enough, providing all the criteria well met, that if that was the outcome for a performance at a festival or in conjunction with a university in the UK, etc., that would be regarded as eligible?
So I think an outcome that would certainly be an acceptable outcome, a performance at a festival. But I think what we'd be more interested in is the collaborative co-design process of how you kind of, worked with your partners overseas, how you connected with each other, how you designed work together, and how you kind of came together and communicated. And it's just that brokering and partnership and the journey to that outcome is something that we'd be interested in.
Yes, understood. It's definitely a collaborative project. And final question is, can the UK collaborator be in a professional association, i.e. like a guild, or a society like the Royal Society for the Science component, or the guild could be like one of the music guilds or one of these organizations?
I think so, as long as it's not a conflict of interest in terms of any decision making, or as long as no conflict of interest is declared, I think it should be fine.
Okay,
and as long as the guild is not a funding body, we should be okay.
Okay. And final question is, if the content of the subject matter is confronting things that we are told are true in relation to the criteria of diversity and climate inclusiveness and climate change, for instance, what the narratives from our governments and the media are, if it's confronting that, in other words, if it doesn't agree with that mainstream approach, does that reduce the viability and likelihood of the grant being awarded? In other words, it's a collaborative project, could be really interesting. It's got a lot of really interesting components putting together, and part of the message is actually confronting that. Does that then set back the application in its viability from the British Council's perspective?
That's a very, very good question. Given that the British Council also operates diplomatic entity across the Asia Pacific, I think we'll just have to be a bit careful in terms of statements that are made. However, it is not something that that we will be looking at the application stage or at the assessment level. I think we'll be mostly looking at the project idea and the impact that it has, and the potential that it has to build legacy. I think we'll be looking at more of that. We will not necessarily, I mean, it just depends on the topic that is being confronted, or the level or the degree at which that is being done. Just given that we are a diplomatic entity in most countries, I think we'll just have to kind of be a bit careful. Having said that, we do want to we do want to support artistic expression, and we do work across the creative economies as well, so we do understand space for artistic licenses, but that would really depend on your application. And like we said, we're looking for impact, we're looking for legacy, we're looking for partnerships, the ethics of partnership. And at this stage, I don't think we can really comment on whether projects will be viable based on how radical that idea is, but it's something that we can take a call on later on.
Okay, I'll read between the lines on that. Thank you.
Thank you. If that's all, can we move on to Marguerite?
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
I just have a question about what the scope of diversity and inclusion means in the context of this grant. How do you define it?
So largely we're looking for projects which kind of support marginalized voices, bring forth diverse voices, are addressed to diverse audiences. We want to ensure that your team sizes, your team demographic is taken into consideration while you're looking at audience-facing segments and public-facing arrangements. We're hoping that you do take into consideration the larger sort of wider scope of the people that you're reaching out to, or the wider scope of the people that are benefiting from the work that you're doing as a result of this project. And through that, we'd like you to address. So for example, if you have a panel discussion as part of your event, we'd like there to be a gender balance. We'd like that if you're talking about issues involving marginalized voices, we'd like you to sort of use certain language and certain, sensitive language, which is sensitive towards, diverse groups and different groups of people. So I think from that lens of sensitivity and a more value building proposition is what we're looking at. But Nijing, if you would like to add anything, please feel free to come in.
Yeah, I think maybe also the accessibility, to increase the accessibility to your project. So for example, some people with hearing difficulties, you arrange some sign language translators for them to be able to access to your events or activities.
So is it more about the method of delivery and the representation of those taking part than the themes that the project is tackling in and of itself?
Can I just jump in there, Davika? Just Anna here from the British Council in Australia. So yeah, we are looking at themes as well. So we can look at racial equity in the arts, we can look at disability arts, queer representation. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about equality, diversity, inclusion, alongside looking at your own EDI values within the project itself.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Davika, you're mute.
Can we move on to Helen? Helen Kai? Oh, it's Caroline. Can we move on to Caroline?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Right now I'm a Filipino and I'm here in the UK right now under student visa, but I am not a British citizen. So my project right now is I'm building a digital database for sustainable indigenous practices in Filipino culture. But if I were to apply for the grant, would I need to find a partner individual or some organizations who are British citizens, or would I be qualified if I continue staying within the UK while working with individuals from the Philippines? So I was wondering how how that all would work in terms of like citizenship or something. So yeah.
I think if you're based and you're working in the UK, I think you'd be considered as a UK applicant. If you're based and you're working there, and your counterpart should be from another country in the Asia Pacific. However, in this case, Nijing, do you want to come in? I think, is there anything that you want to add?
Yeah, I think it's mainly based on where you are based
Exactly.
or operating at the moment. And also, please remember that in the application form, we will ask you to provide some track information of previous artist work you have done to show, so to show as the evidence of previous work. And also, if you are applying as the UK partner, we would expect that you would be bringing in the UK element into this collaboration, let's say it that way, rather than just a Filipino element into this collaboration. So we want to see the project will mutually benefiting both sides rather than just one side.
All right, yeah. So does that mean the project will have to be registered here in the UK while I'm here?
What do you mean by register?
Like for example, if I were to make like a digital database, then like the domain names would have to be like UK based. Any permits or copyright documents would have to be also from the UK.
No, not necessarily. What we mean is that you bring the UK knowledge, expertise, skills into this collaboration if you are applying as the UK partner. And also
alright.
there should be benefit to UK community, not just the Filipino community.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Should we move on to Riaz?
Hello. Hi. So I have several questions. One is, so I'm trying to do a theatre R&D with a friend in the UK.
Sorry, we lost your voice.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay. So I'm trying to do a theatre R&D with a friend in the UK. And I wonder what would be the ways of beneficial for both countries, because the project might come into a show happening in China. And how can I argue, or like what are the ways I can think of to be beneficial to both partners? And I'm also similar to the last person. I have in the UK, but I also have a company in China. Me to work closely with my friends, collaborate with
Sorry, we can't hear you very well.
Can you put the question in the chat box? We're not.
Yeah,
I think
or
it's bandwidth issue.
you can put your question to the inquiry form.
Is this are you hearing me now?
It's a little better, yes.
Okay, I think I'll give up my earphones. Sorry about that. So basically, my first question is, I'm doing a theatre R&D with a UK citizen. I am a Chinese citizen, currently on a global talent visa in the UK. So there, can I apply? But I have a company set up in China as a theatre company. Can I apply from the theatre company and be the Chinese partner with my friend's UK company? Because I'm working in both countries, so I've kind of divide my time in between both. And the second question is, if the show comes into fruition in China, what are the ways we can make it also beneficial to the UK partner and the art scene, so that it's an equal split between the outcome of the project?
Yes, so just to answer your first question, yes, you can apply with the Chinese company and the company based in the UK. You can apply as that. And the second answer, I think it's a bit the second question, I think it's a bit too specific, and I think we'll need more details to answer your question. Just around the mutual benefit and the equality part of it. So we'll just need some more details in terms of what we're planning to do. and how your activity is going to take place. Once we have that, then we can probably respond. We can give you a more targeted response. So if you could just send it via the inquiry form, we'll be able to address it.
Okay, I have one last
Go for
question.
it.
I guess it's very important for other people. So there are two themes that you specifically consider to prioritize. And does that mean if during the practice we considered climate effect and also inclusion and diversity in the way we practice, but the project itself is not themed around these two themes, would that make it a bit weaker than the project that actually themed around it as well? Or is it similar level of application?
It could be at a similar level. Diversity, inclusion, and climate change are the priority themes for the British Council and for connections through culture. But it doesn't have to be, it could be a means to an end. It doesn't have to be centered around it. So it can be part of your project proposal.
Right. Thank you very much. That all answered my questions.
Brilliant. Should we move on to Riaz?
Hi. Yeah, so my question I think was addressed by other people previously, but I'm still going to fire away. Basically, if I am looking at a workshop or mentorship program where where we're looking at experts in the UK providing that mentorship to artists here in Sri Lanka, then would that qualify for a viable proposal?
Yes. Yes, that would.
Okay, but then again, there's the issue of how would that collaboration benefit the provider of the expertise? Because I mean, I'll go back to the UK community.
Yes, I think that's something that you will need to have, like that's something that will come up during your discussions in the co-design with your partner. And I think it's, you can come up with certain ideas together in terms of some of the knowledge that you're sharing back in the UK. I mean, we can't really provide examples and ideas at this stage, but if you do look at the website, there are some examples of past projects that have been funded in this specific capacity. So that might give you some direction, but it largely depends on the conversations that you have with your partner based in the other country and how you kind of co-design the project together. Again, it's very specific. And we will need more details to give you a more targeted answer. So as and when your conversations evolve, please feel free to reach out to us via the inquiries form, and we can respond to you.
Fantastic, thanks.
Should we move on to Roslyn?
Yeah, hi guys. Sorry. Just a quick question about the final decision-making process. Is there a specific quota per countries that you need to hit, or will the project be judged solely on the quality of the application?
The project will be judged solely on the quality of the presentation. Of course, we have, we've earmarked certain projects for countries, but however, the final decision will be made based on the quality. So, for example, if we've earmarked, say, a certain amount of money for 5 projects in China, however, we only received 3 really good projects, we will only select the 3 good projects. So yeah, there's no, we can't really comment on numbers or quota at the moment. It just depends on the quality.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Can we move on to Isabel? Isabel Wharton.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi. Yes, I just had a quick look through. I was looking through the application form, and it just has this question that I just wanted to check. It says, how will this project benefit individual artists? And I just wanted to check on the priority level of that, because we're kind of planning a project. We've already got a partner, but we're kind of initial thoughts are around the kind of creative technology route where we would be more benefiting the community, both communities as a whole, and raising awareness around certain topics in climate change, So how important is that question on the application form in terms of when you look at like, yeah, greenlighting a project?
Yeah, in terms of benefit to artists, I think we're definitely looking at providing platforms to build their own skill. What value has been added to the individual practice? Have they been part of platforms or opportunities that they wouldn't have necessarily had it not been for this particular project? How have they worked with their counterparts in other countries? What have they learned? What have they taken away? If there was travel or residencies that were involved as part of your project, what were some of the things that they learned? How did they build certain partnerships? What did they broker through their relationships or through their conversations? And how can they come back to their own countries and influence other people and create impact in that particular sector? So that largely, these are some of the areas that we're looking at. And I think more importantly, being just access to platforms and access to opportunities that they wouldn't have necessarily had it not been for your project.
Yeah, and would that be for the wider community of people in that region, or is it just artists that you're kind of looking to open up opportunities?
The wider community that will be part of your project's ecosystem.
Okay.
So it can be all the beneficiaries that are involved.
Just focused on the kind of like art craft community, that could be the wider community.
Exactly.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks. That's really good to know. Thank you.
Brilliant. Should we move on to Camille? Camille, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Great. Thank you. I'm part of an organization, and ideally, we are a group of singers, opera singers, and teachers, and we are an organization, and we have been active since 2010. However, we have not had funding to be registered as an official organization, like with a board of trustees, with laws and bylaws. But we do have our portfolio of activities and performances. Would that may I use that to apply as an organization?
You can apply as a collective. If you're not registered as an organization, but you are a group of individuals or a group of leaders of a particular community, you could apply as a collective.
Great. Okay, thank you. That's it. That's my question. Thank you so much.
Great. Should we move on, Adam?
I'll mute. Oh God. Hi, my name's Adam from Orton Dance Theatre in Birmingham, and I know that you've got only one grant will be accepted if you're on it. Does it differ if, for example, you are a lead artist on one application, and then on a second application you're not the lead artist but you are involved as a partner?
So ideally, as Nijing mentioned earlier, we will be only supporting one application that you are part of, and we will be only able to support that. So we will be cross-checking when we're doing the final shortlist in terms of whether there are other projects that you are part of. So if you were involved in whatever capacity in the other project, it will just be one or the other.
And would you make that call to which one, or would you call and go, right, we're going to go for which one do you want? Or is that not possible?
I think it will depend on whichever application scores the highest, as we have like a wide assessment pool within the British Council with art form experts who will be sort of assessing the application. So they will all go to different groups of people. So it will largely be based on how high one of the other applications been scored.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much.
Madeline? Madeline, can you hear us?
Yeah, hi. Thank you for all of your information. My question was really, I was looking on the website and it said that one of the requirements that you had is that the lead artist or organisation was based in the UK for the duration of the project. And I just wanted to see how that might work if you wanted to have a project which was had physical exchanges, so there was a residency or conference or in-person devising process. Is that allowed as long as the lead applicant has a majority of the time in the UK?
As long as the lead applicant is based in the UK and is working there, I think we're okay with that. If the lead applicant is traveling for work or for personal circumstances, I think that's a different issue. But as long as the lead partner is based in the UK and working there, we will encourage those applications.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
and
you.
also not necessarily the lead partner must be from UK. The
Yeah.
lead partner can come from Asia Pacific countries.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sapide? Did you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, this is the last question and I wrote it in the chat, but I can't really scroll up and find the answer. So when you talk about working in the UK, is the company you're working for or you set up, should it be a sole trader, a limited company, or it doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter. As long as you're not a funding body or a government entity, it doesn't matter.
So you could be an individual. Okay, thank you.
Great. Are there any more questions that you would like to come in and talk about? Any issues that you'd like to discuss? I hope some of the questions, there's been loads of questions in the chat box as well, and I hope that they've been answered. If you have any more questions, please feel free to, if you feel that they've not been answered during these information sessions, please feel free to contact us via the link on your screens right now. It's an MS Forms. Please put in your questions and we'll pass it on to the relevant colleagues and you will get a response within 2 working days.
Oops. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Because somehow I lost my view and my yeah. But okay. Yes. So sorry I came in late because of the time mix up. Basically, yeah. So I in response to an earlier so the lead applicant has to be in the UK or can be in Australia or what's that?
The lead applicant can be in any of the eligible countries in Asia Pacific or in the UK. It's not necessary that the lead partner has to be in the UK. It could be a lead partner in the Asia Pacific and a counterpart partner in the UK as well. But the partner from the UK will have to be there. It's mandatory to have a UK partner, and you can have multiple partners in Asia Pacific, but it's not necessary that the UK has to be the lead partner.
Yeah, I'm one of those. I'm based in the UK, but I'm not British, but I'm based here. Yeah.
Great. Is that all?
Yes, I think my project partner has asked the right question for now because I came in late, so I don't know enough yet. But yeah, that's great. Thank you.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. If you have any further questions, Ursula, you could reach out to us via the form, the link in the form, and we'll try and respond to you as soon as possible. There's another question coming up, Jiawan. Jiawan, would you like to come in?
Hello.
Hi.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. And thank you for your talking. And I'm wondering because I want to apply this funding for my research, and I plan to have 2 workshops in Scotland and one another in China. But I'm wondering if any results of this workshop can be published, because I don't know it's allowed it or I just yeah, so this is my question.
Yes, we do encourage projects that have publications as long as you have partners working on this and it's co-designed between the UK and China. We are open to welcoming applications that have publication as an outcome.
Okay, that's great. Okay, that's my question. Thank you.
Is there anything else? Okay, if there are no further questions, then I'd like to just say thank you so much for attending, and good luck to all of you for your applications. Please note all the relevant links have been shared by Khadija. Please have a look at the application webpage as well. All of the information and the tools required are mentioned on the application webpage, so feel free to download it. Get enough time to reach out to people, to speak to your partners, to broker your connections, and good luck with your application.